And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at the Castles of Burgundy. You say, wait, you've reviewed it already. That was the Castles of Burgundy, the board game. But you reviewed it again. That was the Castles of Burgundy, the card game. Now we have the Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. As all successful games do, of course, there is multiple sequels to them. This one is a roll and write game. This is a new genre. Not a new genre, but it's a genre of games that's becoming very popular now, where you're going to roll dice and people who are playing are all going to use what's rolled on those dice to write on their sheets of paper. So you have a board that looks very similar to the Castles of Burgundy board game board, and you're going to be writing numbers on it based on dice that are rolled. This is the very definition of a solitaire style game, because really you could play such a game where I could roll numbers and 10,000 people, if they could watch it on a screen, would be able to do their own sheets, and whoever had the highest score would win based on those numbers. So that means you can play this solitaire, which I have, or you can play with other people. Let's take a look at how it's played. So the game is going to involve each person getting a sheet of paper, and these are all double-sided, so you have plenty of them in the game. And these 5 dice, and it comes with pencils. So each player is going to, one player, the owner of the game, is going to roll the dice, and they roll the dice the whole game, which I don't know why that rule exists in the game. Does it really matter? I mean, we just pass them around, let everybody roll. Who cares? Now, when you roll the die, the first die you're going to look at is this die here. It's going to have 1 or 2 hourglasses on. And whoever is in charge of the game is going to keep track here of those hourglasses. And when the hourglasses in all 3 phases are filled up, the game is over. When the blue hourglass is shown, anybody who has a commodity, and you would circle this to show that you had a commodity, you can sell that commodity. You'll get 2 points, and you'll write the points here in the current phase that you're in, and you would also get a silver coin. When you use a commodity, you cross it off to show that you've used it. So you have spots for different commodities over here. Each player is going to pick one of these starting cities. There's 4 starting cities here. So let's say I pick this starting city. So I'll cross it off just to show that I picked it. And that gives me a worker commodity. So I'll start with 1 worker. And so the dice are rolled each round, like I said. So we would check 1 off here. And then each player is going to make a pair with the dice. So I can make an orange 3, an orange 2, a gray 3, or a gray 2. And I'll be able to fill that in. Now, what I'm going to try to do is put a number in one of these hexes here on the board. To do that, it must be next to a hex I already have one in. So I start here. So I can only put it in these. So I can't even use orange. I can only use gray. And a gray, as you can see here, has to have a 3 or a 4 in it. Well, fortunately, a gray 3 was rolled, so I'm going to write a 3 here in the gray spot. Now, next time when the numbers are rolled, I can go in any of these hexes here that are touching those 2 hexes. Now, let's say the next dice are rolled here. I've rolled 2 grays and a 5 and a 6. Now, unfortunately, grays can only have 3s and 4s in them. But fortunately, I have a worker. And I can use this worker commodity to change a number to whatever I want it to be. So I'm going to change one of these numbers to a 4. Now that only changes for me, not everybody else. So I say I have a gray 4, and I'll write it here. Now, I finished a complete group of gray. And by the way, that worker that I started with was actually here. I should have used that one. These are from the cities here. I finished a complete group of gray, which would give me a silver coin, which I'll mark up here. And every time you finish a group, you're going to get a benefit from that group. So there's different commodities that you have when you finish a group. If you finish all of them of one color, if I finish the other 2 grays, then I would circle this gray bonus here, which has 3 points, and every other player on their sheet would have to cross it off because they can no longer get that, although the second person to finish grays would get 1 bonus point. Also, when you finish a group, you're going to get points based on what phase it is. So this is 2, a size 2, and a size 2 in phase 1 is going to give me 4 points. A size 2 in phase 3 is only going to give me 2 points. So finishing things in phase 1 is going to get you more points. Now I mentioned these commodities. If you have a purple commodity, you can change a color die to any color you want. The workers I've already mentioned will change a number to whatever you want. The blues are only used when this is rolled and you sell them for a gray and 2 points. And the gray, the coin commodities, are used to let you do 2 combos rather than just 1 when the dice are rolled. Purples can only have 1s or 2s written in them. Grays can only have 3s and 4s. Blues can only have 5s and 6s. Orange can have any numbers written in them, these cities here, but every number in each group has to be different. While the pastures can have any number written in those, but they have to be the same number. They also, when you finish one, will score you double points here. At the end of the game, when all these are filled up, you will add all your points from each of the 3 phases, plus any bonuses that you've gotten, and whoever has the most points is the winner of the game. Okay, so this game is a roll and write game. And most roll and write games, when you're playing them, you roll the dice and you fill them out very quickly. This is not the case in this game. In this game, you have to think very carefully about what you roll. There's a lot of restrictions. As you saw in my example there, I rolled a 5 and a 6 with a gray. Well, what if I didn't have that worker to change that 5 and 6 into the number I needed? Well, in that case, in the rules, you get a worker. If you can't write a number down, or for some reason you choose not to, you can take a worker instead. So that's one way to get workers so that in the future you can change the numbers to what you want. But some people, and I found, are not going to like that as much because it's like, oh, okay, so in purples you only can use 1 and 2s, in grays you can only use 3 and 4s. And so every time dice are rolled, you're like, okay, these are the combos I can make. That combo doesn't work, that combo doesn't work. Oh, that combo works. Oh, it's not next to any of my things. Okay, what am I going to do? And it's a really thinky roll and write. It may be the most thinky roll and write game that I've played. Now, that's not a bad thing. I got it, but a lot of people are going to have a hard time kind of grokking it. And I'm actually surprised that they made the maps, well, they did not. As I say, they made the maps all the same, but if you go farther in the book, the maps start changing. I wonder what would happen if you gave everybody a different map. And that's kind of fascinating there. All right, well, cool. So I was going to complain that the maps were all symmetrical. Wonder why they just didn't do a different map on the other side. But you got to keep track of the points. Like if you get if you finish a 4-1, and there's only one of those, a city on turn 1, you'll get in phase 1 you'll get 13 points. But that's really hard to do. You'll probably finish it in phase 3, in which you get 7 points. Not nearly as many. But you're really sitting there, and it's not so much a, ooh, do I do this choice or this choice? Most of the time when the dice are rolled, you've 1 or 2 choices. And I do feel that this is keeping me from giving it a much higher rating because it feels a little bit like a straitjacket to some degree. It's like, this is what you can work with. All right. And I don't mind. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to make this one. And if I do that one, I can do this one. And I'm going to change my color because it's when you use those commodities to change the color or change the number. That's what really matters. But if you need to fill in grays and no grays are ever rolled, which is very possible, or hardly ever rolled, and you use up all your things to change to grays, you can kind of paint yourself into a corner. So, again, I like the game. It's just basically this pad. It would actually probably make a pretty good app because the app would show you the different possibilities that would shine. It would probably make a better app than it does this way. And I think people who like Castles of Burgundy and Castles of Burgundy, the card game, might like this because they'll say, well, that has an interesting feel to it. It feels a little bit like Castles of Burgundy as a roll and write game. But I think people who like those quick roll and write games might find this one too constraining. And I do feel like it has maybe one too many rules. Like I don't get the whole reason when you roll the double hourglass that you can sell a blue to get a silver coin and 2 points. Okay, why is that rule in the game? I mean, you can sell as many commodities as you get at any point in time. So why not when you get a blue, just get a silver, instead of getting a blue, just get a silver coin and 2 points right away? Why do you need to wait till the 2 hourglasses are rolled? You say that's because you're speculating a little bit. Are you? That feels like one clunky rule too many. So this review may actually come off a little bit negative, and I don't mean it to be that way because I like the game. It's interesting and it's fun. I do wonder if it's going to be able to differentiate itself in this genre. And I think a lot of people are going to buy this simply based on name alone. And maybe some people will like it because it has a more cerebral quality than many of the other ones are kind of push your luck, fill things in, don't touch the same numbers together or whatever. There's a lot of really great roll-and-write games, but they're all really, really simple. This one is not quite so simple, and I think that based on that sentence alone will kind of determine whether you will like it or not. Dice Tower judgment approved!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
All you need to do is just shut the door.